Hello and welcome to Perspectives. I'm Stefan Slovak. This morning, the Vatican press office released Pope Francis's 2014 Lenten message. Coming from a letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, the theme of this year's message focuses on Christ's poverty. He became poor so that by his poverty you might become rich. The Pope begins by asking people what the invitation to poverty and life of evangelical poverty means today. Focusing first on Christ's grace, he said that while Christ was rich, he became poor and chose this means to reveal himself to the world. He said Jesus did not seek poverty for its own sake, but as St. Paul says, that by his poverty you might become rich. Shifting his focus to people's witness, Pope Francis talks about how Christians are called to confront the poverty of their brothers and sisters, to touch it, to make it their own, and to take practical steps to alleviate it. He then speaks of three types of destitution. First, the material. Pope Francis describes this as a lack of food, water, hygiene, and basic rights. He said we cannot let luxury and money become idols. He said our consciences require conversion to justice, equality, simplicity, and sharing. Speaking of moral destitution, he described it as slavery to vice and sin. The Pope said these things destroy families and drive people to ruin. This, he said, is linked to people's rejection of God's love, and that God alone can set people free. Lastly, he spoke of how the gospel is the antidote to spiritual destitution. The Holy Father said people must proclaim that forgiveness of sins is possible. He said it is a thrill and a joy to share the good news, and that through it can open up new paths to evangelization. Pope Francis concluded by asking people this Lenten season to look at what they can give up in order to enrich others by their own poverty. The full text of the Pope's Lenten message can be viewed on the official Vatican News Network online at www.news.va. Also this morning, Buckingham Palace announced that on April 3rd, Queen Elizabeth II, along with her husband Prince Philip, would be traveling to the Vatican to meet with Pope Francis. The invitation to the Eternal City came from Italian President Giorgio Napolitano, who invited the royal couple to lunch last year, which ultimately had to be postponed due to the Queen's health. It was indicated that with the election of the new pontiff, the visit to Rome would make for an excellent opportunity for the two heads of state to meet. Queen Elizabeth had previously met with Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI during his visit to the United Kingdom, while her last visit to the Vatican came in 2000, when she met with the late Blessed John Paul II. This past Sunday in Washington, D.C., the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception saw the fulfillment of the second-to-last step of its completion. His Eminence Cardinal Donald Wuerl, the Archbishop of Washington, dedicated a newly installed mosaic high above the shrine's large pipe organ. A statement released by the Basilica says, "It is this mosaic and cross that leads one visually and purposefully to the succession of mosaics through the nave to the Basilica, and thematically through salvation history." With the installation of the mosaic, the only major feature requiring completion in the great upper church is the Trinity Dome, which is a hallmark of the exterior of the church. Initial work on the Basilica of the National Shrine began in the early 1900s, but was delayed by the Great Depression and Second World War, and was not completed until 1959. Its interior has to this day remained a constant work in progress. Finally, Assumption University in Windsor, Ontario is proud to present the latest installment of their Christian Culture series. This month, the CBC's Alison Smith will speak on the topic of Whose Story Is It? Telling the Church's Story. The talk will take place at Assumption's Fried Ormond Center, located at 400 Huron Street in Windsor, Ontario. This is a free and public lecture and will take place this Sunday, February 9th at 3 p.m. and will be followed by a reception. For more information, please call 519-973-7033, extension 0. And that's all for Perspectives. If you're watching our main network, please stay tuned for Catholic Focus. From all of us here at Salt and Light, take care and God bless.